Recording in progress. Okay, Mr. Chairman and members of the Parks and Rec Advisory Board, we do have a quorum, and it is now 6:02. Chairman?
Awesome. Thanks, Tom. I will call to order the regular scheduled meeting for Thursday, May 16th of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board with a roll call. Stephanie Butler.
Here.
Allison Catula. Morgan Van Gelder.
Present.
Jason Alberici. Scott Minette.
Here.
Ralph Troop. And myself. Okay, so we do have a quorum. Let's all rise, if you will, for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In front of all of you, you have tonight's meeting agenda. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve it with one modification, and that is to move item 8, new business, to the top of the agenda. Greetings, Allison. Glad to have you here.
I make a motion to approve the agenda and to move the new business to the top of the agenda.
Awesome. A motion by Morgan
To follow
second.
public comment.
to follow public comment, correct?
Thank
Sorry.
you.
Yes.
I'll second that.
Second by Scott. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. In front of you, you have the minutes from the Thursday, March 21st meeting as prepared by staff. If there are no questions, I'd entertain a motion to approve the past meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the March 21st meeting minutes.
A motion by Ms. Butler,
I second.
second by Ms. Van Gelder. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Mr. Alberici, welcome to the meeting. Tom, we will move to public comment. Do we have public comment?
We do not have any general public comment, Mr. Chairman.
Great, then we can move right into item 8, new business.
Jen, you're up. 8A.
First up.
Welcome our little junior rangers.
I love it.
Awesome.
Jen.
Everyone can say I. Pledge to be a junior ranger for the city of Milton. I'll explore the parks and local places. I promise to keep our city clean and green. Creating a community where everyone. With this pledge, I take a stand, protect our parks, and wilderness land.
We'll all go down and stand in front and get a photo with our. Okay, let's go. First 3 junior rangers.
Awesome.
Tricky because you're like forever a generation.
Three, two, one.
All right, so Piper, Jackson, and Mika completed their junior ranger, first edition, first junior rangers for the city. of Milton. So they pledged to take care of our parks, for the wilderness, good stewards. So along the way, they learned about sustainability, fish, wildlife, how to be good stewards of the land. So congratulations to them. One more time.
Awesome. Thanks, Jen. And Junior Rangers. Can't wait to see more come in front of us. Next item in new business, item B, consideration of a recreation program provider partnership between Kim Saunders and the Milton Parks and Recreation Department to provide recreational yoga classes.
Yes, so I will present Miss Kim Saunders to the front up here. So pretty much we are looking to add a new yoga program to the city of Milton. So Kim, you're now able to present your PowerPoint.
Well, good evening. Thank you all for allowing me to be here tonight to present the yoga program. It feels to me like a full circle moment because I began the City of Milton yoga program back in about 2012. So here we are. And I was just saying to the gentleman, I've known Tom for a long time, and we've been in awe of how the city's grown in such a beautiful way. So thanks to all of you for making it happen. So I've got a PowerPoint. Is that available? That we can start the slideshow. And it's just these arrow down? Okay, awesome. So I have been a 20-year yoga educator in this community as well as a licensed psychotherapist for also 20 years. A little bit about me. As I just mentioned, I started the City of Milton program about in 2012. I also began the City of Alpharetta Outdoor Park and the City of Johns Creek for Newtown Park. In 2014, I opened a very popular yoga studio that still exists on Highway 9 called Lift Yoga. And I sold that in 2019 at a very profitable, it had grown 30% year over year, and it was time for me to sell. However, I still offer yoga teacher training programs and have been doing outdoor yoga community classes ever since I sold. Let's see, what do I want to let you know on that page? So I've been teaching, when the pandemic began, we were granted space across the street at the Crab Apple Market, and you may have seen the yoga signs. I imagine you probably have. You may have seen us driving as you've driven by, offering yoga classes to the community. They really took off, and especially during those early months where nobody could go into studios, we had 90 to 100 people. And through the years, we've usually had between, I'd say 40 and 70 people each class. That was suddenly taken away in the spring. No reason was provided to us. So here we are back with all of you, hoping that we can bring yoga back to the community. The public comments were super favorable, and I'm not sure if you would have seen them, but a lot of these individuals wrote to the owners across the street asking for us to please to have community classes. And they're really gut-wrenching reasons that a lot of people gave, whether people were sick or they were going through grief, and to come out here and find joy and community meant so much to the people. They often spoke of that they were new to the community and that getting to meet people out here and walk across the street to Nest or the farmer's market, that it meant a lot to them. So that's just a little bit of background. I also teach regularly at Avalon and have been doing that since it began in 2014. All right, so here's some of my classes. You'll see Milton's Cuisine. We do outdoor yoga classes right here across the street, Friendship Park. And that was probably in 2014, I'm not quite sure. And Yoga on the Green, which again, we've done that for the past 4 years. I have a very large following. I have a constant contact list of about 4,000 people. So people are always following that weekly to see when classes are. I inform them of outdoor classes. My former studio on Highway 9 was able to attract students from the cities of Alpharetta, Milton, Roswell, Johns Creek, and Cummings. So I still draw people from all these areas. At Yoga on the Green, we saw students attend from the above cities, so it brought awareness to the city of Milton as well. So what we offer outdoor classes with a sound system, microphones, high energy, and students love these classes. It builds community. Many of these students would leave class, they'd have coffee at Whitetail, Nest, and shop at the farmer's market. My outdoor yoga classes have been free, just like when I started with the city of Alpharetta and city of Johns Creek at Newtown Park. That drew a lot of the students to the free outdoor classes. We'll do a lot of our own marketing and advertising, as I mentioned, through the newsletter and Instagram and Facebook. So for consideration tonight, we're looking at possibly bringing back paid classes to Milton City Park, or several of the indoor spaces may be considered. We'll look at the open times that are available with other providers. We are considering that the summer schedule will have the kids programming, so we'd probably be looking at least August to consider classes at the Milton City Park. And the core offering that the local Milton community has come to love are our weekend classes that are outdoors with no set admission fee. They're advertised for all to attend and provided for all levels of participation, or participants rather. So they tend to cater from whether it's a beginning yoga student all the way to advanced. We offer all levels. Final tips and takeaways from a timing standpoint. After the city of Milton grants approval, we'd ideally like to start the outdoor yoga program. We actually did rent Friendship Park last weekend, so we had our first community class right here last weekend. It was beautiful. We loved it. The outdoor yoga classes always are weather permitting, so we usually post on Friday if we're going to have a class on Saturday. The indoor yoga programming, I think we would be looking at 1 or 2 weekdays to begin. And in the cold weather months, we would take our outdoor yoga classes probably indoors to the city park. And those indoor classes would be paid. And that's it. I'll open it up for questions that you might have of me.
Thanks, Kim, for presentation. For questions, comments, observations for Kim?
I mean, I remember driving by and seeing that green full of people doing yoga. So no, it was very neat to see the following. It was really great.
Thank you, Allison. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
absolutely.
And I've taken your classes, so
Thank you, Stephanie.
I know your husband, he does mortgages, so.
Well, thank you. It's great to see you again, Stephanie.
I don't have any questions.
I don't have any questions.
No, I mean, it sounds like a good fit. It doesn't compete with other current programs, which is always a question. So that from that perspective,
Is not.
it's not Bollywood, so we're safe on that front. So I guess you would need then a motion from us, huh? To move forward with the
Come on,
agreement,
Jason.
if you're,
I'll make a motion for staff to move forward to offer yoga classes here through the city.
motion by Jason,
I will second that motion.
second by Allison, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Good luck, Kim.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Good to see you guys. I'll see you soon. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, number C, letter C, is a consideration of recreation program provider partnership between Playwell Technologies and Milton's Park and Rec to provide STEM with Lego programming and classes.
All right, I'd like to present our next potential provider for the city of Milton is Tasha Rodriguez. She is with the Playwell Technologies and looking to bring us some Lego STEM camps and classes to the city of Milton. So.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tasha Rodriguez, and I am the area manager with Playwell Technologies for the Atlanta, North Carolina, and Houston regions. My background is in education. I am originally from North Carolina, where I attended East Carolina University, received both of my degrees in education. I was everything from a classroom teacher up to a principal before I moved here, took a little career break, and then missed being with children and instructors. And I stumbled across this amazing career with Playwell Technologies, where I've been able to apply my 20 plus years in the public school setting in a fun way. So Playwell Technologies has been teaching since '97, started in the San Francisco Bay Area in California, engaging and inspiring creativity, problem solving, and just the love for hands-on learning. And I know if I did a poll right now and asked everybody, how many of you play with Lego? Everybody would probably raise their hands. So the curriculum that we provide is very engaging. We like to kind of hook the kids in when they first come in with the scenario. Say, for instance, we're working with the catapult. You know, we'd welcome them as kings and queens into the kingdom. Some word on the street that somebody's coming to try to take our land, but we're not going to let that happen. We're going to build some weapons today. But before we get to that, I want you guys to build up some walls, some trees, something that we can use to hide our weapons so we can really have a great sneak attack for these people trying to take our land. So we really like to make it very engaging for our kids. Obviously, the Lego brings them in, but we also want to tie something in that will continue their engagement throughout the time that they'll be with us. We also have experienced instructors. Obviously, I am responsible for hiring those instructors, and I really like to focus on those who have experience in the classroom working with children because that goes a long way, having that love and that compassion to be with them, not just to play around with Lego, but really see their light bulbs turn on and for them to learn something along the way, not just having fun. So I really like to make sure I have those experienced instructors in the classrooms that we offer. And some of the goals, obviously, is problem solving, critical thinking, hands-on learning, creativity, and imagination. You know, there are children when we're showing them how to build the projects, they get a little stumped and they're like, oh, can you do this for me? Can you show this for me? And that's not what we do, because then they'll just be playing with Lego. We want them to learn. So we tap into that. We'll just pose questions to them to facilitate their thinking as opposed to just doing it for them. You know, well, why do you think that piece should go there? If I put it in the circle, is the wheel going to move? Or if I put it in the plus sign, is the axle going to move? And if it doesn't, why? So we really focus on that. We don't want to just do that for them. We want them to try to figure it out on their own and really tap into being an engineer and learning how things are made and why they're made that way. Talked about the instructor's background. Not going to talk about that anymore. And the problem solving, critical thinking, it identifies challenges. So the kids get to see, you know, putting things together in their mind, it may work, but then when they try to operate it, say, for instance, we have this nice little car with a pullback motor, and, you know, we teach them about the spring in there, and we let them know that it moves. But say, for instance, they didn't put the axle in the right place and they try to make their motor go and it doesn't go. We're like, that looks like a challenge. How do you think you're going to figure that out? Like, what are you going to do? Sometimes they partner with people who are in the classroom with them, or they ask other questions to try to challenge themselves and kind of compete with each other too in challenging ways. And obviously it's hands-on with Lego. It helps, and we not only just service, you know, children in schools, but we go into churches, we work with community centers, things of that nature, and, you know, we may have students who have difficulties with their fine motor skills, and we've learned that when they're working with Lego, it helps them to build those skills up a little bit more as opposed to the other strategies that they may have learned or may have been trying to learn at home or in the school. So we foster creativity and imagination, as I said, innovation, problem solving, ambitious thinking, and self-expression. The self-expression is probably my favorite because obviously when we show them the project, we give them the starting point, but we love for them to take that beyond. And I mean, they just blow your mind every time. You ask them to build a wall, they're going to build the wall of China. I mean, it's, you know, the things that they do, like it really keeps you going. It keeps you motivated, working with them and building down there with them on the floor. Because we don't just, you know, teach them how to do it. We like to get down there and engage with them as well and really hone in on their self-expression, really get them to show us what they have on the inside of their head and share with others. So our summer program details, we have weekly sessions. Typically, it'll be for 5 days during the week, unless it's a holiday. And we break it up into 2 groups. So from 9 to 12, we typically have our younger kids, ages 5 to 7, and then there's an hour break. And then we welcome in our older kids, ages 7 to 12, between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. And we have the age-appropriate curriculum. For that reason, you know, want to make sure that we're not giving a level 8 project to a 5-year-old because we don't want them to be frustrated. We really want them to love what they're doing and learn something along the way. We don't want them to come in and hate Lego and hate learning. So we really make sure we focus on age-appropriate curriculum and obviously the hands-on activities. And we have a variety of schedules, summer camps, obviously, school break camps. We have some of those as well. Weekly after school or daytime classes, which are a little different than the summer. We have 1 hour to an hour and a half sessions at the schools or community centers, as opposed to the summer where they're 3 hours apiece. We also offer one-off workshops, parties, and so much more. I was talking to Matthew earlier about, you know, we even go to different companies and they like to have team building challenges or, you know, design challenges, see who can build the tallest tower or something like that. So we have a lot of things like that. So for pricing for the summer, we charge $28 per session per participant. So for a week-long session, that's 5 days, that'll be $140 per participant. It doesn't include any of the facility fees or anything like that, but we negotiate that with our partners to make it work. And then enrichment during the regular school year, it's $19 per session per participant. So for example, if they wanted a 10-week session where they'd meet once a week, it'd be $190 per participant for those students. And our curriculum, we have our core STEM, we have Minecraft, Pokemon, animals, Harry Potter, transportation, and a lot more. So, you know, you name it, we have it. We have spring STEM projects. We have Winter Wonderland. We have the Halloween, whatever you can think of, we have it. Any questions for me?
Thanks, Tasha.
Thank you.
Questions?
Do you have a minimum both on, so we're going to looking at a summer camp and then a longer minimums in terms of what you need to run it?
10 is the minimum and 24 is the max for the summer. 10 is the minimum in the regular school year and 16 is the max.
Awesome.
Which facilities would we be looking to utilize?
So like obviously, so Tasha looked at the Bethel Community Center and potentially like the Milton Community Center, and or even Community Place as well too.
Okay, thanks.
Tasha, you mentioned you have been doing this with other partners. Anybody locally? Who else have you worked with?
Cherokee County, Peachtree City. Oh my gosh, and then I have schools in Sandy Springs, Decatur. A lot of private schools, but public schools as well. Oh, City of Alpharetta. Forgot about that one.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of our other partners.
Seems like a good addition.
Is it, do we have time to make summer happen, staff? Is that a school getting out?
Well, yes. So me and Tasha have been in talks. So once this goes in front of City Council, then potentially we'll offer something like in July.
Yeah, okay. Good to know. Sounds like a lot of fun for me. I had my own Legos, no instructors.
No fun on it. Just
Coach Lego would be, get a booklet. I was figuring it out by my own. This sounds like a lot of fun, so I'm all for it. A motion then to direct staff to move forward with Tasha and Playwell Technologies.
I will make a motion for staff to pursue a partnership between Playwell Technologies.
Okay, motion by Jason,
I'll second that.
motion second by Scott. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Thank you, Tasha. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matthew.
Be a good one.
Item D under new business. Appreciate everybody's patience for waiting to get here. Discussion of vision for park uses and amenities, including input on a conceptual site layout for pending city acquisition of acreage at 300 Deerfield Parkway. Tom McElveen.
Good evening, PRAB. Just give me just a second here. Okay, what I have for you for this evening is our first public input session regarding the 21.37 acres of land off Deerfield Parkway on the east side of the city that we recently went under contract with in April. This particular property is expected to be planned for future active park expansion. The acquisition of this property is supported by multiple council-approved planning documents. The 2027 Comprehensive Parks and Recreation Master Plan called for an additional 40 to 60 acres of active space be developed for our population and level of service demands. Additionally, land acquisition is supported by the city's strategic plan and also the comprehensive short-term plan as well. In tonight's presentation, I'll go over an overview of the property, where it's located, share some conceptual sketches of the property, and allow for Parks and Rec Advisory Board input and then public input as well. Here, I'd like to quickly orient you with where the property sits within the city limits, in case you didn't know. On the map, the property is circled in blue on the southeast corner of the map. It sits very close to Windward Parkway, Highway 9, and is nestled nicely in the city's Deerfield corridor, where a lot of our dense population exists. This map zooms in a little bit, give you a better idea of where exactly it sits within the Deerfield corridor. It is highlighted in green here. You're able to see that it's close in proximity to Highway 9, Windward Parkway, and again, much of the city's commercial. The physical address of this property is 300 Deerfield Parkway. Here are a couple of zoomed in aerial shots. The map on the left shows the neighboring adjacent properties, and the graphic on the right just shows, again, the property outlined in green. It's worth noting that there's a lot of tree canopy here, but there is no real floodplain identified. There are some small sections of wetland. We have contracted with a parks planning consultant to provide the city with a high-level site analysis, feasibility study, and we will eventually get an estimated construction cost of the potential park. Tonight is our first opportunity to see some of this planning come to life. Here is just kind of a couple of pictures. We did put out some stick in the mud signs just to notify the public of what is upcoming. That QR code will take you to a page where, as we continually go through updates on this park project, you'll be able to see kind of the most recent updates. And the picture on the right is what it looks like essentially all the way down Deerfield Parkway. It's all trees, and there is a sidewalk that runs across the entire frontage of the property. All right, it's time for those conceptual sketches. Now, I want to warn everyone in attendance, and I want to warn PRAB that these are straight conceptual. They're not designs. That there will be a formal design process through an RFP. This was essentially a feasibility of, can we put an active park here, and what could potentially fit. So I request that we don't get too into the, well, can we move the playground 20 feet that way? Or do the two fields need to be right next to each other like this? That's not really what we're looking for. We're looking for, okay, here's what fits. What do you like generally, and what do you not? Do you want more baseball fields and less rectangles, or more rectangles and less baseball? Or that's too many pickleball courts? I don't know. So I just wanted to give that warning ahead of time. There will be another much more intensive design process down the road if we pursue this park as an active park down the road. Any questions?
Sounds great.
Okay, I'm going to go backwards here. So we're going to do concept B first, and then we're going to go to concept A. So concept B, both concepts have the same amount of rectangles, diamonds. Actually, all the active components are all the same number. So there's 4 diamonds, one 270-foot baseball field, 3 200-foot baseball fields. The rectangular fields are very similar to field 2 at Legacy Park. So we can have the small-sided lacrosse games placed 3 deep. So we can do 3 small-sided games at the same time, just like Legacy Park 2. There are.
So just to that's a bigger than a typical? Is that what, it's a little wider?
It's about the same. It's about like Bell Park is about the same size as width. But the original Legacy Park was a little more narrow, and we made it wider. To accommodate those small-sided games.
Yep.
There are 16 pickleball courts. The thought behind that was to be able to host tournaments and generate some revenue through rentals. Don't necessarily have to have 16 pickleball courts. And then there are a couple of tennis courts in the corner as well. There are 3 points of access for the park. Can you see my mouse pointer? Yeah. So this is actually the north. So this is a north one-way in driveway. In the center here, we have an in and an out, and then there is an exit on the southern portion, or on the left side of this drawing. My only real feedback that I can provide outside of preferences, or we probably need a little more parking in this. There's only about 270 spaces, and for reference, Bell Park has like 370 paved parking spaces. But Bell doesn't fill up outside of Eagle Sticks lacrosse
right.
tournament.
It's
There's
rarely
usually
full.
some capacity that's open. But I don't want to get into another Legacy Park situation.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions on B before I go to A, and then we can kind of kick around some ideas? Okay, here's concept A. This concept has some interparcel connectivity. I have a couple members of Public Works here, Sarah Leaders, will touch a little bit on the benefits and why we had thrown this in as a potential concept. But it gives us possible connection to Highway 9 to help, and it's in a couple of planning or more than a couple of planning documents for transportation. But again, you can see the same amount of fields fit in this concept. There is less parking in this one, so something else to keep in mind. We've got 2 restrooms in this concept A. There were 3 in concept B. Because of not having the road down the middle, there is more room for recreation. So we've got 1, 2, 3 on the restrooms. And we also this is over here, it's a maintenance building on the bottom left corner here, and it has its own separate entrance, so the maintenance doesn't get mingled up with the traffic throughout the park. Not that it's a big issue at Bell, but having them squeezing through everybody else at times can be a challenge. Any questions on these concepts? I'd like to start with the board's feedback, so then everyone out here in the public. Oh, Sarah, why don't you come up? I forgot Sarah.
How many parking spaces are there in concept A?
Concept A, it's between 230 and 245, I think was their number. They were able to play around with some of the parallel parking and everything else. So I
You
didn't
said
get an
275?
exact number.
245 in B?
That was the max number.
B 270.
Oh, 270.
Yeah. But I'm going to have Sarah talk a little bit about the advantages of this interparcel connectivity.
Good evening.
Hi, Sarah.
Hello. So Tom highlighted, that it would be an interparcel connectivity. It could be a roadway. It could be just a driveway with parking alongside it. The development potential for the parcel to I guess it's kind of the north area that would connect over to 9 is very key here. And it just seems like a great opportunity if that becomes a mixed use development with restaurants, retail,
additional parking, just to share those amenities with this site would be a really neat opportunity. We've had this identified most recently in our strategic master plan for the Highway 9 Deerfield area as a priority connection, just to get that vehicular connectivity from Deerfield over to 9. And be glad to answer any other questions on it, but it would really work with either concept A or B. On B, it would just need to be in place of the kind of the pavilion or area between the two rectangular fields. And once it crosses the property line, it could meander. It doesn't have to be a straight shot roadway. It would kind of work with that mixed use development.
Where potentially on Highway 9 would this come out? I know you're just saying it could be straight shot, or if it was a straight shot, where would this come out? Like by that old Fry's?
It'd be, yes.
Got
So
it.
this is the Fry's property. It'd be south of Webb.
Mhm.
So what's the timing forecast for, first of all, the park, and then obviously the property on Highway 9 is going to depend on development, desire and opportunities. So what would be the time frame for that? And then also, it sounds like maybe that would just be parking until there was a viable development on 9. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So there's a couple options with it. If we do it as a roadway, we could work with that development and almost build the connection to serve the park first, rather than us just stubbing it at the property line. So there is an option to do that. We somewhat did it in the Crabapple area with some of these roadways. The road came first and then the developments came behind it. So we kind of have a couple options, and we're about to undergo a major implementation planning effort on this area as well, to look at how everything will work together. So 2 options. One is we just build it up to the property line with the intention of when that development comes in, they match up, or we do it as a capital roadway type project and construct it all initially.
And at that point, I guess you would wind it away, because that seems pretty close to the Fry's. So you would probably meander the roadway to the other side of the property, or?
It'd have to be worked very closely with the Fry's owners to come up with a scenario that works for their future plans as well. So
Okay.
it probably would meander slightly after it crossed the property line.
And then, Tom, is there a time forecast for this, if this were for the park?
So we'd have to go into a design process, and that's more lengthy than we're looking at now. I mean, they pumped this out in like 2 weeks. I think 6 weeks or 6 months on getting that design, this park. So
Right.
you're probably not even looking at construction for another year, and then maybe a year for construction.
Okay.
So you're a couple years out.
Perfect, thanks.
Yeah. Feedback?
Sarah, would you anticipate there would be speed calming for this little piece? Because the last thing you want is full city 35-mile-an-hour traffic racing between parking lots and the city park, right?
Absolutely. It would have raised intersections. It'd have crossings. It would have on-street parking, all the components that make it not a desirable pass-through, but more of just that interconnectivity.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Tom, you mentioned option A, concept A has like 230 to 245 spots. I was doing rough math today driving over here and just thinking about what I know about baseball transitions with 2 teams on a field and 2 teams coming, and that's like right at baseball only. Like, do we have a number that is the right number of parking spots to accommodate the peak demand? Not the 370, but the crossover of 2 teams on every field and 2 teams coming in and 2 teams leaving? Because that's what you got to build for that, right?
Yeah. We have 50 per field is what we recommend for parking. So you're looking at 300 plus a little bit more for the pickleball.
Is a parking deck out of the question? I mean, I don't like the way that looks, but
Not necessarily, no. It's more of a cost more than anything else.
I'll default to my multi-purpose friends. In both drawings, and I know we see this at Legacy, the edges of the fields are right up against the edges of the property.
So
So
that
there's
was,
the fan experience.
that was my question about concept B for, I mean, I don't worry so much about baseball because I feel like inherently there's space for spectators, but for these rectangular fields, where are the spectators going? Because it's already an issue at Legacy. There's really no great place for spectators.
So
to
they have the
watch games.
spectators right now outside on the end zones versus on the side, like in the 50-yard line.
Yeah.
But
Between the parking lot and the field.
That's on B.
on B,
On
it's
B.
in between
Like
them.
right
On
in
A,
the
on A,
middle.
it-
It's I
On A, it would be
A
similar
doesn't
to
look like
Bell.
it's a concern. That looks to me like a Bell scenario where you've got these long walkways with enough, places for
Mhm.
patrons and
yeah,
spectators.
B
But-
has them on the end zones here. But again, that's something we can totally,
Okay,
final
okay.
design, that's,
All right.
and you
Kinda like-
mentioned restrooms. Is there concession? Do we talk about?
we would put concessions in it,
You
yeah.
have all that, yeah.
What,
Potentially multiple concession stands, honestly. Probably two.
sorry, what kind of revenue can the pickleball, would 16 courts of pickleball for tournament?
I haven't done
Generate
any,
any
I haven't done any
ideas?
research on pickleball tournament rental rates at this time.
Revenue generation's interesting.
Is I like where they're located in B because they're their own little entity, but on A, they're eating up a lot of parking that is needed for, that's the lowest number of parking options relative to the 50 per field. So that's
I do like that there's two different parking spots on A. That you've got that little smaller parking lot off to the side, just helping with traffic flow in and out.
Right.
If you happen to be playing on the lacrosse fields, but again, you might get stuck in the other parking lot as well, or without parking.
As a Parks and Rec professional, my biggest concern with the roadway was safety.
right.
And I was pleasantly surprised that if we did do the road in concept A is something that we can dig deeper into down the road, the park almost looks like it's split in two. And you can park on this side or you can park on
Yeah,
that side.
yeah.
And you're going to get people crossing, but it's going to be limited.
Right.
And
I pity the poor person who shows up for their baseball game late and option B is the park
Way out by the pickleball
and
courts.
walk the length of 2 fields to get to their,
That
the
happens- that
270
happens
field. I mean,
often.
that's a 15-minute, that's an
Yeah.
extra 10 minutes in your day you don't get back.
Well, both of these concepts already have more entrance and exit, more than what we currently have. Bell has one way in, one way out.
Right.
It gets jammed up. Legacy is a hot mess currently. But so I feel like either way, these will help the flow of traffic, having multiple entrance.
And
exit
concept
points.
A kind of reminds me of North Park,
Mhm.
Yep.
Very
which
much.
is, I mean, it's not an issue. There's speed bumps all the
Yep.
way through and.
Yeah. Nobody's cutting through there.
Well, the other thing though, I mean, I know the Deerfield is totally away from Parks and Rec, but Bob has taken over that Deerfield planning, right? So Buscemi's moved on to that wholeheartedly. And so building on this other side could be leave the park and go to a restaurant, different than
Mhm.
North Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why
Right.
I'm liking A a little bit better. Future development.
But yeah, no, I mean, they're great. They're great work, Tom, in a short period of time and a lot of food for thought and good conversation here amongst the board. I'd be interested to hear what the community has to.
One more, one more thing, would there be potential for trails
this,
in and around?
Looks like it.
thank you for bringing that up. Yes, there are trails in both. It's the little dotted line around the outside. It kind of tucks in a couple areas. Do you see them? around the
Yeah,
field?
conceptually, I
Yeah.
can't begin to figure out what the distance of that is, but
I don't have a distance on that.
It would be similar to like a Bell, right? Where
It would,
just
it
kinda
would,
be
it would.
around
They
the
didn't provide
outskirts.
with distance. They
Yeah.
didn't provide us with distance. I got it. I got this. I got both of these last night.
it looks great.
So,
It looked great.
Good work.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions for Tom or Sarah? Phase
to move
one
on to
of,
public comment.
yeah, let's go to public comment.
Okay. All Our first public comment is Andrew Satori.
And I'll
And
remind
you'll have 5 minutes, and if you could just state your name and address at the start, that'd be great.
Thanks, Tom.
Hi, Andrew Satori, 385 Wigton, off Thompson Road. So looking at these parks, City of Milton is presented with a unique opportunity that could potentially generate revenue, but also help alleviate some of the pressure that we feel already in the city. As everybody who's been sitting here, you've already seen the 100+ bicycles that have ridden out from this very parking lot while we're in this meeting. Claiming one of those square fields instead and using it as a velodrome and pump track presents an interesting opportunity to get cycling off of our roads, or at least reduced on our roads, create an opportunity for both youth and adult activity and racing, as well as learning, both day and night, year round. When you look around North Georgia right now, you have exactly one other velodrome. It is in East Point. It is a private entity, not a public park, and it has been viable now for almost 35 years. We have an opportunity to do something here where we have the single largest cycling club and the largest density of cyclists in the state of Georgia. We pull from Forsyth County, Cherokee County, Cobb County, most of Fulton County, and even over into Gwinnett. Those riders come out here that show up to here at Old Blind Dog 2 days a week, Whitetail 2 days a week, as well as downtown Alpharetta and Roswell as well. Right now, that population represents about 6,500 cyclists within this immediate area. And there is no real viable high-speed activity space that is safe for them to ride, that is not the road. And as I say, with this velodrome, we have that opportunity, as well as an opportunity to bring in sporting events and rentals for revenue over time for these parks. So it's something we would like you to think about in your planning stages, and we're happy to engage in any way to provide any input you guys may have or questions you may have along those lines. Just what I needed to say. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thank
Andy.
you.
Thank you. Okay, our next speaker will be John Lundstedt.
Good evening, John Lundstedt, 15755 Burdette Court. So a couple comments on what we just talked about, the Deerfield property. So one of the things I want to mention first is, I know we canceled the subcommittee that was going to look at other potential opportunities and other locations. And because this Deerfield kind of presented itself, it's great, right? There aren't any horse farms, there's no properties near it. That may be a mistake. And the reason I say that, now, I hope Deerfield works out, and I hope we go through it from a structure perspective, and there's nothing wrong with rainwater and animals and things like that. But if we go through this 90-day due diligence and all of a sudden something happens and it doesn't work out, there's going to be people with pitchforks at city council meetings, and I'll be leading them. So, and again, if we can, I know it takes time to do these subcommittees and it takes people's time and effort, but we got this property. Boy, I hope it works. But man, if we don't have another option lined up, we're going to be back where we were with Hopewell. And if we get into this summer and that falls apart, yikes, we're in deep trouble. But I hope it works out. The other thing I have seen and heard, and I think Sarah mentioned it, is alignment with the Deerfield commercial project that we're trying to do. And if you look at this area, especially the plan that kind of runs through, there's additional opportunities for commercial development, whether it's restaurants, whether it's workout facilities, people building along, because now we have this park there. I think I heard that. I think that's part of it. And so I hope that is included in that whole picture of, hey, not just parks, but how can we help develop Deerfield from a commercial perspective? I want to offer a tool that can help us. Now, it sounds like, so then we're going to potentially work with design of the actual parks. These are just concepts. So I have something to offer that may be a good tool to help out in that perspective. So about 2 years ago, we invited Ali Mastrioni, who is a professional lacrosse player. She's one of the best in the world, to come down and do a clinic. And it was the first time somebody like that had come down to Georgia. And she sees the quality that we have of the players down here. Lillian Catula is killing people on the field. And she says, man, we got to come down here. So she invites TBD Lacrosse, which is a professional lacrosse training organization. They started out of Long Island, but now they're going to a hub concept, and they're going to places like Atlanta. So they'll be here tomorrow and Saturday training at Bell Memorial Park, some of the top lacrosse players in this area. What they've offered is, hey, we've gone and we've seen hundreds of parks throughout the area, throughout the country. We'd love to help. Now, they're not engineers, right? They're not going to be able to say, oh, we need this type of fence or something like that. But as we look at these concepts and figure out, well, if we have parking over here and if we have the fields here and where are the spectators going to be, this group is ready, willing, and able to help and provide their expertise and just kind of walk through. I'm going to show them these conceptual plans, but I'm offering their help as somebody that can provide another set of eyes, another set of experience. What's the best way to set these up? What are some of the pains? That sort of thing. I noticed on the plans too, so we've got 4 triangles, 2 rectangles, pickleball, but I'm assuming that that's not necessarily what the numbers are going to be. That was just to show how we could potentially fill it up. And so that's another part of the conversation is, well, wait a minute. Do we need more rectangles? Do we need less triangles? Do we need pickleball at all? Who knows? And I'm hoping that's part of the design process itself. The Fry's property, and no, I don't know what the situation is, but we got that big parking lot. Can we use that parking lot for parking and use more of the field piece itself for fields and less parking? Who knows? And I hope that's part of that plan too, to go through there and to potentially take over some of that land. And then finally, so the last thing is still trying to figure out what is the best way for us to help. And what I mean by us is, and you know them too, and I mentioned them before, we're kind of working together as a community. Well, how do we provide our input? How do we provide our expertise? The Joey Costanzos, the Tim Godbees, the Matt Etheridge, myself. What is the best way for us to provide our expertise, provide our insight, to work with you to figure out how best to move this forward and to, answer all those questions? So bottom line again is I want to offer that group, TBD Lacrosse. They're experts. They do this all over the country. They come every week. They come Fridays and Saturdays and train some of the top girls. They're ready, willing, and able to help. So that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, John.
I'd like to call Bill Purdy.
Good evening, I'm Bill Purdy, 1985 Birmingham Road. Been here 37 years. Nothing out here when we moved in. I'm also president of the Milton Arts Council, and I'm not here to compete with the plans you already have for this parcel, but rather to plant a seed for the next parcel that might become available for the use of arts. I'll give you the 60-second Cliff Notes version of why I'm here. Back in the fall of 2016, Council passed a resolution to create the Milton Cultural Arts Committee. Council members each picked one person, took 6 months to get everyone together. So it was in May of 2018 we had our first meeting. Well, we found out 2 things over the following weeks and months of research. One, we could not collect donations. You can't donate to a city government. They may take what they want, but you can't give it to them. Second thing we found out is that the Milton City Charter did not provide for funding of the arts, like the other North Fulton cities who have allocated 1% or more to the arts from the beginning. So I went back to City Council and we made a suggestion that we take our committee members, spin off into a Georgia nonprofit 501c3 IRS whatever separate corporation, and that was the best way to handle the situation. Over those past 5.5 years, we've created a Milton Community Theater. We've done Shakespeare in the Green. We have Milton's Got Talent. We have summer camps, arts camps for the kids. We've worked closely with Arts, Sports and the Recs, Parks and Rec, very closely, and they have been very, very helpful to us to survive. And we're still working with them and want to continue. They've been very nice to us. We appreciate that, Tom. So what you have going here is fine, but in the future, what I would like to see to catch up is for the City of Milton to be the Cultural Arts Center of North Georgia. We have the talent here. You've seen it if you've gone to high school plays. We have kids that are on Broadway today because of what they learned here. The arts is something that people look at when they come to look at property here in our city. Safety, recreation, of course, sports, and the arts. Our mayor told us a few months ago that we have 42,000 people in this city. The arts can serve all 42,000. We have programs for children, middle-agers, and seniors. We actually take production to the 2 assisted living facilities here in Milton because they can't come to us. And we enjoy that because that's their last home. So what I would like to call, I guess the future is to have something we might call a Milton Cultural Arts Center, professional performance area, seat maybe 350. Could it also be a city auditorium? We don't have one of those yet. There's standing room only in this room sometimes. It can be leased out to people who want to have other programs. We can bring in other acts to serve everyone. So keep that in mind for the future. Contact me anytime. Be glad to talk with you about it. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thanks, Bill. For everything you do.
Appreciate that.
All right, Mr. Chairman, that concludes the public comment.
Okay.
Whoop. All right, come on, let's do it.
Yeah.
Grab a car. Nope, just state your name and address, and then we'll.
Lily Medina, 437 Pembroke Circle, Alpharetta, Georgia. But it's technically Milton. I am a resident of the Villages of Devonshire. Our property is a community that was initially built for 55 and older and has been sold and converted to condominiums. We have over 200 units, and we are located on Deerfield Parkway. So the new building that's going to be happening with the park, I'm here as a resident, and I'm a little concerned about the traffic that's going to be affecting our neighborhood, as well as the chopping down of all the trees, which is making me a little bit upset, because when you drive from Highway 9 all the way through Deerfield and you hit all the way to Windward to get the expressway on 400, which everybody does, you have a beautiful ride through the whole area, and it's all green on both sides through that whole area. And it's very, very relaxing. It's a beautiful, beautiful area of the trees. And then you have the median that's taken care of by the city with beautiful flowers and manicured trees all the way through. And I would just hate to lose that beauty of nature by cutting everything down. And I know it's going to happen. I see the concepts. But if there's a way, if you would please consider maintaining the trees alongside the road as much as possible, trimming around the whole park. And I heard someone mention that whether or not you were going to have trails. I'm happy to hear that, because everybody exercises there. Everybody, that's something about, because you have Lifetime Gym, you have LA Fitness, then you have Avalon. And those are, and that's one of the main reasons, that's the number one reason I moved into this area, was because I was looking for a neighborhood with sidewalks. So I didn't want my children riding in the streets. And this is a very organized, clean, safe for children, the sidewalks, so everybody exercises. And I'm just here to voice, to please consider nature. And the more I work in the area, and I get to work 7 a.m. sometimes, I mean, pre-dawn, and you can hear the hawks in the morning, right at twilight. You hear them honk, and I'm like, oh my God, you know, and they're at the top of the tallest trees. They're up there. So, and I'm like right near the Verizon building. So please consider keeping our nature, because that whole area is just what brings people there, and children need it, adults need it. We need green. I mean, I'm originally from Florida, and the first thing people started doing was chop, 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 and it's all cement. And then it's hot, and then you got this heat, and then the cement, but that's the beauty of nature and keeping our, another thing is that we have deer. And when the new property that was sold and they built Millstone Park townhouses right there in that corner, right when the substation is, all those deers went into our property. We had 2 babies born this last season. They had nowhere to go. So I'm like, oh my God, I hope we keep something, but from the concepts up there, it's gonna be really tight. One more thing before I finish. Traffic. It was a good idea to say, if you have a road going in and out through Highway 9, because if you look at the map where the property is located, it's a short ride from there to Windward, where everybody goes and takes that traffic intersection to get the expressway, either north or south, 400. It's a short ride. So that traffic's gonna be jammed. When you have, and it's not a bad thing, it's life. But having another exit out of Highway 9, I think it's a great idea. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So what do we think about the amenities on the site? I know what our comprehensive master plan calls for as far as diamonds and rectangles. And this kind of gets us where we need to be today, right?
Mhm.
At the time of our master plan, pickleball was not really, it was up and coming, but it wasn't there yet, and there was no pickleball considered at the time. There are a couple tennis courts in here too. I guess my question is, what's the desire? I mean, and I plan to do this next month as well. We're going to go back to the consultants and gather some feedback from today and come back with kind of like a final sketch. It's still going to be sketch. It's still going to be conceptual, but as part of our contract with them, we get a final design essentially. So I'd like to get some kind of guidance and feedback from the board as far as, 16 pickleball courts. Do we want to do a tournament facility? Do we have that? Do we want to keep it on the table potentially? That's kind of the feedback that would be helpful for me today, is just high level things in here, it's really just
Is that
pickleball,
the
tennis.
amount of pickleball courts required to host a tournament? Do we know, is there like
Like
a
regional
ideal?
tournaments we're talking.
Right.
Yes.
So large.
Like
Okay.
drawing from
Right. Okay.
all of the state and probably surrounding states too.
Okay.
And so if I look at concept A, it looks like there's the little brown building being concessions, that type of thing. I don't know, is that just a restroom in concept B, right, where the pickleball is? I'm just wondering if you're going to, if it is enough to host a tournament, they're going to want the restrooms and concessions and those types of things closer, like it might appear to be in concept A. Is that correct?
Every major node of the park will have restrooms and potentially concessions, but for sure restrooms. If we've got
Three.
tennis and or pickleball on one corner, and it's 200, 300 yards away from the next real node of activity, then it will get restrooms.
Is
Yeah, so I would just say when we're looking at that, if the goal is, because we know pickleball is huge and there's, constant demand for it. If the goal is to get tournaments or to have some of that there, we would want to make sure that there's a design to have restrooms and concessions and things very convenient for them when they're going to use it. Would be my one thought.
And is there still a plan to add 2 tennis courts to the Milton City Park and Preserve?
Mhm.
So
We're still in the final process of.
So theoretically, you could drop the tennis courts from here and leave pickleball?
I sort of agree with that. I feel like if you're going to add more tennis courts to the preserve, I feel like having only 2 there feels a little odd and random. I don't know that it would be really well utilized.
Either, and you could either utilize that space for parking or additional green space or probably don't.
With that being.
I suspect if Terry was here, he would tell us that he could use 4 more courts, and he'd want 2 wherever we could put them.
I'm sure.
suspect. And I hear you about putting restrooms and nodes. My biggest worry about adding pickleball is certainly trying to be forward looking. We know it's in big demand. I know it's played in a lot of neighborhoods. A regional tournament on a weekend is all that many more parking spaces we're already competing for in Concept A, where we've got the park full of kids playing baseball and lacrosse and football. And so I don't know how many people come per court. I don't know what that math is or what that looks like in the timing, but think about another 100 cars trying to get into this parking lot on Saturday.
Yeah.
That might preclude the pickleball from being considered.
It's 3 cars per court, if you think about it.
Yeah, and I guess.
So it's another 50 cars that we're trying to jam in the park on Saturday.
So I guess the question I would think is that, just because I know somebody that played in a pickleball tournament with 1,700 people yesterday. I'm just wondering, because I know it's moving to the youngers, but probably a lot of those folks that use it, you probably could do tournaments during the middle of the week when kids aren't there. Right. And so I guess that would be my question, is that if we're going to say, hey, we're going to try and attract some of those, is that, to Scott's point, we don't want them there on the weekends for a big turn or weeknights, right? But
the over 60 pickleball league
this was this was a 1,700 people playing in this. That was a 55 from 10 to 2 or 10 to 3 on a Wednesday morning.
Or we just don't.
And so it was a
host those
huge,
kind of things.
yeah. So I guess, is there enough demand for those types of tournaments in the middle of the week?
The tricky thing is we're talking about tournaments and that can be planned, but what about the average
Correct.
player that
Those
just
are gonna
wants to
be,
show up and play
Yeah.
and they don't recognize that there's a baseball tournament going on or a lacrosse tournament?
Yeah.
They're still competing for parking space.
yes.
I like the idea of keeping it in the planning process, but probably may need to fine tune it a little bit with the tennis courts and the parking needs and all of that. But I love the idea of keeping it in there and having courts, just because it is such I don't play, but
I don't know that we need 16.
up and coming.
Yeah, that's
I was
right.
going to say, maybe
4 or
it's
5.
more
That-
than
that's-
Recreational
No,
pickleball in the
pickleball.
city. It's not a
I-
destination for an event.
like a good amount of
Maybe
courts.
that's a.
We need 10.
10, yeah.
How many pickleball courts would fit on those
How many
tennis
are at
courts?
North
there?
Six?
They
You can
just
do
got
12
rid of
courts on-
tennis courts and added
12 pickleball
pickleball.
and 2 tennis.
And is there any
Would add more parking.
part of a tennis court, can you do a hybrid?
Sorry, what?
Can you do a hybrid court? I mean, would that be?
I personally don't recommend
It's
that.
not ideal. Tennis players
it's-
don't care
that-
for it.
Mhm.
It's-
Yeah.
The lines get
How many
confusing.
are at North Park, do we know?
I'm looking at it.
I believe they just took more tennis courts away and striped them for permanent pickleball. I think they're up to 16, I think. I don't know that number.
It's a shame we can't negotiate.
Just-
We
they
could
just
build
did
more
it.
tennis courts and let them have pickleball.
No, we need pickleball.
Well, I mean,
12 pickleball courts.
so
They're up to 12.
I'm hearing kind of a
10
theme
would
that
fit.
is maybe not a focus on destination event tournament thing, but
Yeah.
incorporate pickleball in some place, Tom?
I feel like 10 pickleball courts would
smaller
feel like a
tournaments.
great addition.
I think that's, one aspect of it. When I first heard street, I was really concerned, but I like the drawing that is here, and I kind of could get excited about what connectivity to Deerfield mixed use looks like. That's kind of exciting, I guess. And I like kind of the way how it separates the park. So the people that are going to rectangles are going to rectangle parking, and people going to, so you balance the parking that way. I think that's a nice trade-off from that perspective.
Yeah, I like A.
So maybe I'm hearing a little reduction on pickleball. Tennis, if we fit it in, I think Terry, we could ask Terry, since he wasn't here, does he really want 2 more courts? I think the answer, we know the answer to
Yes.
that.
I'll
Silly
answer for him.
question. He'll take him anywhere. He'd take him in a parking lot, I suspect, if we gave it to him.
My other, sorry.
No, go ahead.
So just a question, concern with this in concept A where it's split here. Well, I assume there's a playground in here somewhere. Am I just missing that, or is there not?
Yeah, there's 3.
Um,
Those little
These
circles with
circles?
peas, those little circles with peas in the middle, it's very small.
Yep.
There's one on like the top
Oh,
left corner
one
between
in
the
the
Oh, I
baseball
thought that was a
field.
lake.
got it.
Retention pond.
I did too.
The very first time I looked at it, that's what I thought
I
as well.
thought it was
Okay.
that as well.
Got it. Okay, so that's good. But I guess my concern around, and I don't know, is there a ability to have some walkway if I have a kid playing on the rectangles and a kid on the baseball fields? And now I have a younger kid going between those 2 fields, running back and forth between dad or something, mom and dad. Just I don't know that there's a way to build in some clearly delineated walk path there for those types of things, right?
I'll defer to Sarah on that, but I imagine we could do things like speed tables with kind of a crosswalk on the top of it, kind of thing where you're forced to slow down,
Mhm.
and then that's a dedicated crossing.
Yeah, I mean, it's great when you go to Bell, you see kids, essentially meandering themselves, whether parents are watching one game and then they go over to the baseball and they're just kind of at the playground and bouncing around. Parents not too far away, but probably don't know exactly where they are in the park, right? This becomes a little more, I guess I would become more concerned with this if I had a young kid bouncing between these fields.
Make it inconvenient to just drive through the.
Yeah.
Correct.
It's got to be really.
But it's even just
inconvenient.
going through the parking lots, right? Like that's.
Thinking of playgrounds, and granted, my kids are older, but I'll speak to the parents of young kids. I don't, in both A and B, that playground that's way off in the back corner, up against the property line, is probably not where I want to send my 2-year-old to go play while I'm on any one of these baseball fields.
More
I
centralized.
don't want to. I don't like to think there's evil in the world, but unless the wall's 12 foot high around this park, I don't know that I want a playground on the edges of the boundaries. I'd rather have it more centralized to
Yeah,
high
I
traffic
agree.
areas.
You could, with 3 different playgrounds on the park, you'd probably have 3 different age
Things,
groups
maybe.
that you're aiming for, and so this one would maybe be the older.
Okay,
And
fair,
then
fair
you'd
enough.
you could put the younger kids in the more central area between the baseball and pickleball.
With the addition of more fields, one of the problems we've always had in baseball is 2 teams in a time slot and splitting up cage and field time. We don't build. Is there cages built into this, or
I was just gonna
because we got more fields, we don't need cages?
They did not have cages in here. I will have cages at this park.
Yeah, you got to have cages.
There will be
Some
batting
kind
cages.
of, because
There will be
now
batting
that
cages.
was my next thing about if the playground changed, it's a cage destination.
Where the one playground is?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe only have the one playground by the ballpark and then put the cages on in the, well, I don't know.
And I think the other thing we heard tonight, and I'm sure I leave it to experts beyond me, but there is a lot of tree buffer in Deerfield, and I know I see quite a few drawn in here, and there's some mature trees that could probably stay, but to the extent that you could preserve the view shed of trees
Lining the.
along the edge of Highway 9 with the park behind it, then you accomplish the goal of keeping a nice view on Deerfield Parkway while you're expanding the park at the same time.
Maybe
Yeah, and having
that's
the-
taken into consideration.
Whether that's bermed or treed or
Right.
protect the mature trees that are there, or pick and choose the biggest ones you're going to save. But it seems to me there's a lot of footage that we could play with rather than starting from scratch.
Yeah, and then, the trail system for the neighborhoods and also for parents when they have their kids practicing to be able to utilize.
Anything else we need more of or less of?
And then I guess, and I don't know, kind of on the edges of the park here, I know at Bell, although the sidewalk doesn't go far, you can, essentially on this Plan A by that first parking lot, there's a way to get onto the Bell Trail from the sidewalk right there. Is that something they would consider, or we should consider as well? So you can come off the sidewalk and get to the, the corners.
Sidewalk on Deerfield.
Yeah, the sidewalk on Deerfield and catch right into the park trail, and then you can do that loop, and then you're back onto the sidewalk
All our land.
with that.
Talk about what the maintenance, you mentioned earlier about the maintenance shed here in this lower left corner of both plants. How do they access the fields?
They'll have to just access through the trail or down the sidewalk.
On the sidewalk?
If they're using, say, like the bunker dragger.
Because it's
on the
a
baseball
pretty
field.
wide sidewalk down there.
Yeah,
not-
it is. It
it's
is.
the
I walked it
standard
2 days ago.
Trail sidewalk, not the standard sidewalk.
Correct.
Because then there'd have to be some kind of ingress, egress, right? You're either going into the parking lot or maybe you're going in between these first two fields and down into the bowels of baseball and
Again, those are things that we'll
figure out.
we'll have that in the final
Okay,
down the roader.
got it. Anything else you need from us?
No,
Really good discussion.
that was good discussion. That kind of really gave me what I needed to take back.
Okay,
Thank you.
awesome. This concludes item D of new business. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, public, for your input today. Thanks for those of you at home following along. Let's move to item E of new business, discussion regarding the meeting time for the June 20th meeting.
1 second, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
I won't be here June 20th.
Okay. I'm planning to do another one of these the next June meeting, and our June meeting is slated for a noon meeting. I had the idea and the thought, if we're looking to get public input again at the next meeting, we'd probably have better luck doing it in the evening versus at lunchtime. So I wanted to kick that thought over to the board if doing a meeting moving it from noon to 6 would be palatable or not for the board.
Tough for me.
Swim.
I would be out that meeting as well, but I can do the noon one. That's the only reason.
Yeah, I could do the noon, but
Is there another, so we're down to, I'm in.
I'm out of town that day. No matter which day it is.
The dominoes are falling. Didn't matter.
I might have to be in North Carolina.
Could we, I'm sure we can. There's probably procedure to move the date to the Thursday before, the Thursday after, those even options for folks.
That would help me.
I could do the Thursday
if it's at
before,
night,
for
I'd
sure.
be out either. any of those.
The week after.
Your other option is just, we could do a special call
Yeah.
Mhm.
and just keep it at noon and then do another special called meeting for the Deerfield property,
Mhm.
if we wanted to do it that way.
That might be
I like
the best.
that.
I'd like to be here if possible.
Could you, so you
And I can
could,
throw out some dates to the group.
Mhm.
you could go down the path of a work session. It doesn't need a quorum because you're just taking input, right? If you had a special called meeting just on the Crescent property, you wouldn't even need technically a quorum.
That-
I mean, because the council does it all the time. I'm sure they have a quorum when they do it, but their work sessions are no business. So if we're going to do no business and there's 3 of us here, great.
Yeah.
Let the community have their chance to
Get
provide
there,
some
yeah.
input. That might be a way to,
I will look into that one.
I mean, because for that matter, we could ask amongst ourselves after this meeting, maybe we do that on the night of the 20th. For those of us who can make it, that way we keep on the 4-week schedule kind of thing.
Okay.
So just an idea.
All right, so let's,
You're going to come back to table.
I
we'll
guess I
come
don't
back
need a
to-
motion or anything because we don't
Have a good
have
answer
any
yet.
direction yet.
You're going to come back with more.
Sorry.
Okay. Fair enough. We're back to committee reports. Let's begin with baseball.
I can touch on Hopo baseball
Awesome.
since Ralph's not here. Hopo finished the spring season just recently. They're working on tweaking a little bit of their rosters. I should see that information come through very soon. But as soon as spring ended, summer ball quickly started. So no rest for baseball. They're continuing to play at all available diamonds, from Bell to Legacy to Birmingham United Methodist Church. Hopo Middle School's even getting some use.
Awesome.
So Hopo baseball is certainly active.
Eagle Sticks, Allison.
So spring rec season wrapped. It was a great season. Very little weather issues, which is always nice. I think overall the younger age group, so the youngest group those numbers were up, and significantly up, which is great. It just kind of goes to show the sport is growing. So it's good. It was good.
Are you covering boys lacrosse too?
I can cover that. That
Okay.
was,
Thank
Thank
yep.
you. Jason's sitting there.
So that's, spring season just wrapped up. All overall pretty positive. Few scheduling challenges, just, more teams being at the wrong place, wrong time type stuff. But overall positive experience across for the teams.
Awesome. Thank you. Football, Stephanie.
Yes, I chatted with David Kramer today. Year over year, they are up 15% on registrations for flag and tackle. They currently have 230 flag registrations and 220 tackle, and another 3 weeks to go with registration. I think I mentioned that Cobb is now with their league, so that will broaden games and kids, and so it's all good.
Anything the city can do on a last minute push program?
I did not ask him that question, but I will.
Awesome. Halftime sports. Who's our?
I think that's Ralph also. Doesn't he have both? I can do halftime sports as well. I recently received the spring numbers from halftime sports. Kim pulled in over 800 people for 800 participants for spring ball.
800?
834 was the number I had.
Wow.
Awesome.
Unless he
I
sent
thought
me
the
the
last
wrong
number I
data.
heard was like 500, which still was high.
Yeah, that's crazy.
A lot. Great.
But quickly coming
Oh.
into summer camps for halftime sports.
Great. Thanks, Thomas.
Remember when that was 30 people?
Hmm?
That was 30 people
Yeah.
at one point.
No kidding. Swim team. Scott, are you my?
Yeah,
He's up for
I got a
swim.
connection there.
Yeah, about that.
So we have 230 swimmers. We had to turn away. We probably could have had 260. Well, we couldn't because we couldn't fit them. But if we signed everybody up that wanted to sign up, we still have people asking. So we turned probably 30 plus away. We've got Kate Bodner coaching this year to give Steph and Beth some help. She's a former Harvard swimmer and has 2 kids on the team. And we have 21 or 22 15 and overs, which is like big because usually they age out and don't want to come to swim teams. So, and we've got like 7 or 8 of the Cambridge High School swimmers. So my son being one of them. So it's going to be a great season. We're going to stress Tom out with our 2 home meets against Alpharetta. So if we have 230, they've got at least 230. So people will be parking a mile and a half away and walk into the pool. But no, it's going to be great. So looking forward to it. They got it running like a top. So
That's awesome. Great.
I am sweating bullets about those 2 meets.
It'll be fine, Tom.
Would, thinking of that, would we send MPD over there to offer to
Yeah.
for traffic around?
Maybe encourage carpooling.
Yeah, we're
That
doing
already-
we're doing that.
That already occurs, and we will again do.
Gotcha. Okay, great. I didn't talk to Terry in advance, but I spoke up for him today, so I'm sure he will love
I
his
appreciate that.
opportunity for 2 more tennis courts. I'll talk to him for the next meeting.
You may be mad at me for talking about
Yeah,
that.
Youth arts programming.
That's me. I have actually been doing a lot of emailing with both youth arts programming and the adult program. No, I'm sorry, just youth arts programming. And we have some great programs. There are a lot of them, so I'm not going to dive into all of them, but they're all very enthusiastic about their programs, and that's exciting. So, and they have some cool offerings. So, yeah, if you're interested, look on the website. There's things available.
Awesome. Thanks, Morgan.
Yeah.
I did talk to the folks at Wellsong and Emory. They're both very happy with their use of the facility and working with staff. There was a question Margaret asked me about the possibility of mirrors in the community center. That not new? You're already aware of that?
Dance.
You're aware of that.
Okay. Awesome. And Roxana was asking, I think you guys did it already. She was looking for a little help in promoting because she's getting like 2 or 3 people. And I thought I saw some Facebook post extra that maybe the city was involved in or maybe not, but I'm sure she's talking to you guys about how to keep promoting her class. Awesome. Camp Joyful Souls, Mr. Rhodes.
Yeah, I can. I'm actually talk about adult programming first before Camp Joyful Souls, just so we can touch on our adult petanque program, which has registration opening in the next couple weeks for its fall season, as well as Rush Union for the adult soccer summer league, which will be beginning in the beginning of June. As far as Camp Joyful Souls, all 7 weeks of camp have been full, probably going on a couple months now. We're finalizing our staff and looking forward to camp training at the end of this month, and then starting right into camp June 3rd.
Great. Thanks.
It's awesome.
And last but not least, outdoor recreation programming.
What?
Yeah, that should be on there.
That's LEAF, the tree learning, Morgan.
Oh, got it.
Yeah. I can give you an update if you want.
Please.
Yeah. So Cassie completed her class. We were hot to trot on those families over at the playground, kind of pulling them in for some really cool outdoor programming. I would say huge success. She would have about 8 kids. Her cap was 10 in any given week. And she's going to continue her sessions in the fall and going into the winter. So we found there's a lot of homeschool families in Milton, and she wants to extend to those homeschool groups so that she can work with an older age group in various parks, kind of meet them where they're at and offer programming. She's also been offering programming to Girl Scout groups so that they can get their merit badges. So it's really cool.
How did our, we had a summer camps with the,
NOC?
yeah.
Yeah.
How have they gotten some traction?
Yeah, so our older age group, which happens in June, we have met the threshold for it to make. So the cap is 13, we're at 9. And the younger age group, which is in July, we have 6 registered. Our threshold's 8. So I put an email out to the families and said, hey, I need you to get a friend. We want this to make. So find a neighbor.
And it's still early for July. It's
And
still
we're going
early for
rafting.
Jen is very grassroots.
Well, I mean, that's like how it works.
That's
Like
right.
everybody wants to bring their friend,
Exactly.
right?
No, that's smart.
But it's still
So-
early. It's still July. I mean,
Yeah,
for
we've
July
got
one.
time.
Yeah.
We've got
Some
time.
got time.
So
That's awesome. Good.
Once we post amazing pictures from the June weeks.
oh
Yes.
It might push.
Yeah, that'll push you over the top.
yeah, that's
Awesome.
going to be tons of fun. So
Great. All right, well, that concludes committee reports.
We got one more,
Oh.
Mr. Chairman. You skipped
did
Port
I
Camp Compass, the summer day camp,
Oh, I'm sorry.
number 11.
Number 11, summer day camp.
I'll go ahead. So pretty much we're kind of in the same boat. Yeah, for the Camp Joyful Souls, there's 2 weeks that still have only a couple spots left. The 5 weeks are fully filled. We're kind of finalizing our staff, and then we'll have our staff training as well. Those last 2 days of May.
Just a little friendly competition among the staff, whose camp they can fill first. That's great.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I'm trying to pull it up real quick, but Matthew mentioned there's 2 weeks that have openings, but there's also a couple weeks with waiting lists
Oh yeah, that one.
of almost there.
We'll offer a discount to get off the waiting list.
Into the
regular.
Yeah.
All right, there is a wait list of 32 kids on 1 week.
Wow.
And then there's another week that has 1 and 4 openings.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
great.
fantastic.
Great.
I wonder what's going on in the city. My parents are working that week.
Yeah.
Yeah. No vacations that week.
Must be something going on.
It's the week before the 4th of July week.
Mm.
So parents want to get them off before they all go out. Then everybody goes on a family vacation. Makes sense.
Super. Anything else for committee reports, Tom?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, then we'll move to item 7, unfinished business. Start with item A, the discussion on the appointment of recreation program liaisons for 2024.
Yeah, unfortunately, Ralph's not here today, and he has asked if he could step down as the liaison for Hopewell baseball. He's a busy dude. He travels a lot, and Hopewell is one of our more large and a program that really needs a lot of engagement. And he feels that he doesn't have the time for it. He already has halftime sports, and he's okay with keeping halftime sports. But he's kind of came to me and he was like, "Hey, can I potentially move on from Hopewell baseball?" And I thought I'd make it as an agenda item if there's another board member that's willing to scoop him up and kind of take on Hopewell baseball. That'd be great. And part of the reason, the reason he's not here tonight probably plays into his reasoning for it too.
Mhm.
So that's the kickoff for this item.
Okay, I'll take it back.
You're the most appropriate.
God,
I am
team
Juan.
player.
What a guy.
Juan's nightmare. Ron and Ryan, my new best friends again.
Can we get
Okay.
can we get a motion to have that
Yes.
moved?
I will make a motion to have Scott be the Hopewell baseball liaison.
Motion by Jason,
Second.
second by Scott. Let's make sure we're clear. This Scott for Hopewell baseball, not swim team Scott.
Not this-
Scott Minat for.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so be it. Thank you very much, Tom. Next item on unfinished business is the Wall of Fame update.
I'm going to kick this one over to Thomas.
Sure. It is that time again. I'll be, I think I'll email you guys the 2024 Wall of Fame ballots this year. We have 8 nominations on the ballot. 4 of them are new from 2024 nominations. 2 are existing from the 2023 ballot, and 2 are from 2022. So you guys be on the lookout for that.
Okay.
And we'll go through our normal voting process. I'll make sure to share the instructions and everything so it's clear. And we'll get that information back. Tom, I don't know, is our plan to possibly announce the winners next meeting or closer to fall? closer to the ceremony date.
Sooner the better.
Okay,
If we can turn them around in quick enough time,
great.
I'm fine with having them ready for the June meeting.
Yeah. Give us 2 weeks, try and get it before the 1st of June and
Excellent.
after Memorial Day, and we'll get it done.
I think they're ready to go out next week, probably.
Next week's Memorial Day.
Yeah.
Some of us are out of town.
We can get it to you.
Yeah. But we get it back the first week of June and we'll be in good shape.
It's quite a few less than last year, right?
Yeah, we actually had, of the 5 that went on the wall were all from 2023 last year. So they came in and went off pretty quick.
Got it.
So I think that took a lot. And we also,
Had some
We
drop
had a lot
off.
of roll-offs too.
Yeah.
we dropped our 2021 folks.
Got it. Great.
That'd be awesome. Okay.
Excellent. We're looking forward to it. So be on the lookout for an email from me to your city emails.
Bila or Bolo from Thomas. Thank you, sir. Okay, that concludes unfinished business. We now get in the home stretch of city staff reports and communications. Mr. McAvoy.
All right, first up, we have the community outreach update. I'm going to speak for Emily here. I won't have the same enthusiasm as she does, but I'm going to give it a try. We've got the Memorial Day ceremony. That's the next upcoming event, and really the only thing I'm going to report on here. We're going to do it on the green again this year, Monday, May 27th, 10 a.m. Last year we had record numbers, and
So we got a good speaker, great speaker coming in.
you have a speaker lined
lined
up. I believe the gentleman is active too.
Mhm.
And it's very, kind of the run of shows very similar to years past. But yes, we got a good
speaker.
keynote
Awesome.
speaker. And all the other the features to the event are all coming back.
Great.
That's really all I've got, unless there's any questions on, we'll be diving into 4th of July and the other events. Once we get our interns on board, that's one of their fun projects they get.
Super. Thanks.
Legacy Park parking lot design update. So let me pull up a calendar here to make sure I say things right. The city engineer had completed a scoping report, which kind of lays out the existing conditions, the history of the property for both Legacy Park and the active piece of MCPP, the grant project for the tennis courts, playground, parking lot. And both of those scoping reports got done a couple weeks ago. I spoke with him yesterday. The legal ad has been sent out to the finance department to get into the paper for the RFP for design. So we have steps after steps after steps. So once the legal ad is in, we can then post the bid for the design service. That is slated to open. It looks like the first 2 weeks in June. So one of the first 2 weeks in June, the bid will open, and then we're off and running at that point. So happy to provide some real dates to the board. This project will take a little bit of time. It's a pretty big design, and because they're doing both, we're going to prioritize depending on where we are with the grant. I expect Legacy to be prioritized in the beginning to get moving, because we probably shouldn't get anything back from DNR and the National Park Service till probably July on that piece. So we can't really do much until we're there. But that's all I've got. If there's any questions, Allison, anyone?
No, thank you for that update.
It's great.
I'm happy to hear
I will.
it's moving along.
I'll just keep it on the agendas every month
Please
and
do,
just
'cause
provide where we're at.
It's nice to know that it's
awesome.
moving in the right
So-
direction.
So I expect next month's update to be the bid is out, and we're waiting to
Yep.
until it closes to
Score 'em and
Awesome.
start the scoring.
awesome.
Okay.
Thanks, Tom. Last item, C.
I'm gonna kick this one over to Jen.
Ooh,
Oh, Jen's
tell me,
surprised.
what's the agenda?
All right, staff report on status of current and upcoming community service projects, city parks, and civic spaces. So
Oh.
what do we got? What do we got going on, Jen?
Oh my gosh,
This-
I got a notepad for y'all. All right.
Jen has
Is this the
taken
longest part of
this.
the meeting?
Huh?
The longest part of the meeting?
Yeah,
If you want it to be.
longest part of the meeting.
If you
Are
want it to
ready?
be. No, Jen's been working hard with all the scouts, and now she is the go-to person for just about anything they want.
Nailed it.
They
There you
just reach
go.
right out to her. And so she's, oh, yeah. Oh, you want to do this too?
That's right. I
Bring
saw
a
a
friend.
scout in the back and I was like, hey, I'm Jen. Okay, well, talking about scouts. So Mayfield Park, downtown Crabapple here, we had a really incredible upgrade by adding benches and picnic tables to this park, so it's usable. We have a great relationship with the HOA behind there and the residents. I talk to them weekly. They have invested so much time, effort, and money into that property of their own. I'm very impressed with that group. So, however I can help serve them, I will. So they got benches, picnic tables. That group themselves stained the entire pier over a weekend, which was a huge cost savings for the city and a great like lifespan for that pier. And then they've also maintained the trail that we installed for them. So now we're working on beautification projects and they're really excited about that. They like to see plans. They did purchase wildflower seed to see if it would germinate. What we got out of it was wheat, like what you make bread from. Nothing else sprouted. So we're going to do some other color pops, but I love that park for Crabapple because I watched so many prom photos taken on that pier. It brought me such joy with the white dogwood flowers. It was like a line of people doing their photo op. So Birmingham Park and Crabapple for your outdoor photos. Other scout projects, we're going to have 10 benches installed at MCPP thanks to a scout all along the trail and over by your ponds. So you'll have a place to sit, which will be really nice. And then there's lots more in the works. I have 6 other scouts working on their workbooks right now to get approved, and there'll be more to come. National Trails Day is coming up on June 1st. I've asked for MTAC support in co-hosting a hike at Providence Park. I'll be leading on June 1st. It's a Saturday. I'll be leading a fishing class for kids at that park. So I thought it'd be great if we coupled something and made it a whole event. So hopefully they'll be able to come out and support it. July, which is Parks and Rec Month, we will be having a Junior Ranger Academy. So we'll do a morning session and an evening session where kids can complete the whole book over the month with myself, Sandra, the city arborist, and Emily Groth in Public Works. So they'll get to meet 3 different departments for the city and learn a whole lot more about Milton. And at the end, hopefully we have a whole lot of rangers here for the August session, right? And as you can see, we had our first little junior rangers. So every
Awesome.
chance I get to take a group of kids out, I've met with Girl Scouts, Cub Scouts, and they've taken the book and done the activities. So I usually start them on a wilderness hike, and that completes one activity, and then I leave it to them. That little girl, Piper, by the way, adorable. When I met her, this is her 18th Junior Ranger badge. She's 6.
Wow.
So she's very much into nature. I assume she's coming for my job. Let's go, Piper. So she's a rock star. I was like, I said, parents can come up if we're nervous. And she's like, nope, I got this.
Awesome.
And then something else for you guys. We had Birmingham Trail Cleanup Day. So that was a big success. We got a lot of trees off the trail as we normally do. We found some old barbed wire from the farm. And I've been building connections with some of the riders over there. So we're starting to get feedback from the equestrian community. Yeah. We're starting to get feedback from the equestrian community about how to best utilize their park. And the surveys that have gone up on the trails, I've been loving the feedback. Hey, we'd love birdhouses here. Love this park. It would be really great if we had this feature, or can we remove this? So I think in our planning stages for the future of any park improvements,
super valuable feedback because things we wouldn't think of, right? And how people use our parks. Other than that, I have a request out to the community. I'm looking for someone to lead archery for the city so that we can build an archery range and have certified instructors on that range for kids, adults. That post got a lot of feedback and adults were like, can we do it too? Sure, why not? And then I also am looking for naturalists, so ones that are experts in fungi, plants, trees, you name it, so that they can lead hikes or classes to teach the community cool things like take that log and put some mushrooms on it. That's it. That's all you got.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Thank
Jen.
you.
No problem.
And Jen, thanks for leading us on our little hike of Lakapani.
Oh, yes.
That was fun.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
We appreciate you spending your Sunday with us.
You got it. You got it. I hope the kids learned something.
There was a lot of tadpoles.
So I went out there today. I had to do a dam
A lot of
inspection.
frogs now?
And those frogs were loud and big from the time we saw them. Aggressive.
They were.
I was actually told by,
Oh my
I led
gosh.
a hike for Earth Week. Unbeknownst to me, there was like a regional president of the Natural Plants Association on this hike. And what she told me is this is a thorough way for that pond and specifically is really important ecosystem for those frogs and for those not fireflies, what's the word? Dragonflies. And when I was out there today, it was like I could have stood like this and dragonflies were all over my body. So she was like, it's really important we preserve this space. She also found 150 native species. That would be really important. So we're going to go tag some rare plants. So if you're a plant
Very
person, come on out.
Awesome.
Other business for the Parks and Rec Board today? Appreciate everybody's patience. It's a long meeting, but a lot of good stuff finally to sink our teeth into.
Not really.
Yeah, not bad.
Not
Under
bad.
2 hours.
We've had worse
Oh.
or longer. We've had longer. I do have one thing, just I was just out on Wood Road the other day and we have those little signs that say, if you like this trail, scan here to see other ones. They're really beat up. They're just stuck in the signs are, those are old, but they're very, they're good.
There's
But-
2 editions out there.
So maybe we
There's a
refresh
2020
those.
edition
Yeah,
and
there's
more out there maybe.
just some of those that, as we're
2
trying to
years
get
ago.
people to know about all the new parks and things that are there, might be good to update those. I mean, those were pretty beat up.
Take a swing around.
Yeah. Let's
Yeah.
And,
But because we have a lot of a lot more new parks, right? And it just said, if you like this trail, I think it says something like, if you like this trail, scan here to
Go
see.
find a parking spot at Legacy.
And I just wanted to add in the excitement for committee reports. I looked at a winter registration for halftime sports. So I just didn't want to go on a record
Oh, I
that
got
we
it.
did not have 800 for a spring season. It was far less. That was just an error I wanted to note that I made during committee.
Because we're all like, those are some
That's
spring numbers.
invoice difference.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Sorry. Okay, one other really quick question before we leave. Any movement with the property that we are under contract on, Arnold Mill near Legacy?
No real report
Okay,
on that. We're still in due diligence.
okay,
and
perfect.
Doing our thing with that.
Okay, all right, thank you.
If there's no other business before this board, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Jason.
I will
I
second
second.
that
Second
motion.
by Morgan. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Stay here and make it 2
Gonna
hours?
steal your thunder.
So be it. See you next month.
Thank you.
Okay, so Morgan.